Now, I've been doing comedy for a little bit now, and it's all an attempt to help discover myself through writing and actually airing out whatever's going on in my life, hoping others can relate to that and maybe get a good laugh out of it too. Now, I started out doing open mic nights around my hometown, and eventually I felt I owed it to myself to really put that to the test by booking gigs kind of far away from here. Now, I won't name the town, but it's about 3 hours away, with the whole point being nobody there knows who I am, and I don't know them. And hopefully that influenced how I perform this material, while also finding out what works and what doesn't from an unbiased audience. Now, I did one gig recently, and it was my second time at this specific club. And unlike the first time, I went into it completely prepared. And I gotta say, it paid off. I got the biggest laughs of my life to date that night. Now, after my 15 minutes were up, I couldn't exactly stick around because it's late, and I have a 3-hour drive ahead of me to get home and try to get some sleep before work the next day. No, I can't claim that this life is glamorous by any means, y'all. I work a job I hate doing just to fund things I love doing, like this. Anyways, I sneak out the back door for a few minutes into the next act's set, and I'm met by this random chick that's standing nearby. Now, I guess she had some kind of sixth sense because she was already outside and waiting for me to come out. She calls me by name. She calls me Manny. And she's absolutely gushing about how funny I am and how cute I am and how she'd love to get to know me. Ting tong, okay. Now, I tell her I can't really stick around. I have to get home, and she tells me her name is Erica, gives me her phone number, and tells me to hit her up and let her know I got home safe. And to reach out to her next time I'm in town. She has a place for me to stay the night. Well, shit to bed. Here we go. Now, I wrestle with my thoughts the entire ride home. I'm on top of the world because I just killed in front of an audience that barely knows me, and this random chick in that audience not only noticed me, but just made a move. What's not to like? Then I start thinking, if this bitch is gonna pull that on me after literally only a 15-minute set, just how many more motherfuckers has she hit up that exact same way? I don't really do random hookups. That's just not my thing. I'd rather actually legit get to know somebody before dating or whatever's even on the table, but that's just me. I get home just before 1 a.m. and I decide, fuck it, I'm texting her. She asked me to. Now, what's the worst that could happen? I reach out like, you totally didn't give me a fake number tonight, did you, Erica? And 30 seconds later, I get a response, and it's her. We get to talking, and I mean, it's going well enough. Next day at work, I'm in the middle of the lunch rush around noon when I get bombarded with nudie pics of this chick. And it's definitely her too. Her face is visible, saying she hasn't stopped thinking about me and shit. And I'm like, well, that's a cooter. That shit escalated so fast, y'all. I kind of left her on red for a bit because I'm at a legit loss for words here. And plus, I'm also legit busy at work. So after work, the conversation picks back up and I play along as best as I can. But I'm also playing this safe as shit because I don't know a single thing about this chick besides her first name, if that even is her real name. And as far as anybody knows, she only knows me as Manny. So we're in the clear. Then, it gets even better. Or worse, depending on how you look at it. Come to find out, this chick actually used to do porn a few years back. And she actually gave me her porn name. And of course, I did my due diligence and researched. Sure enough, she's not bullshitting. So I'm dealing with my own little baby's first groupie situation, and I have no clue whatsoever how to cope with it. Never had a groupie before. This is new. We're talking uncharted territory over here. As this was going on, I told my good friend Chris about this, and literally at the same time we both thought, man, this reminds me of Jack in the Box. So I guess I'll talk about that too. It's early January 2013, and we just finished a long 6-hour recording session with myself, Chris, and my other close friend Alex, go grab a bite to eat. Alex is the driver, and we go to the Jack in the Box the next town over. It's about midnight, right? And after we get our food, we pull up to our parking spot and eat. Right beside us rolls up this SUV of clearly fucked up white chicks who roll down their windows and try to get our attention. We roll our shit down, and they're trying to get us to follow them back to their place, promising a good time. Yeah, we play along at first, and once our windows come back up, we all have a powwow right there. Alex is like, we're getting laid tonight, boys. While Chris and I aren't really up for it. We're not really feeling it. There's every possibility here that we find ourselves in a trap, robbed or possibly beat down, or both. So we're like at a literal crossroads here. The ladies turn right toward their place, and at the last possible second, Alex says, fuck it, and turns left. You could actually hear them yelling at us from down the road. Now, the point of all this is, if you're going to try and make something happen with me, at least put in the effort to get to know me first. Either that or just bombard me with titty pics. Your move, ladies. Is anyone here familiar with, or even worse, a subscriber of the concept of manifestation? Now, this is a reasonably new concept I've only become aware of only within the last couple of months. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, it's the idea that if you think about something, write it down, or say it out loud enough times, it'll eventually come to pass. I see this trend mostly in the ladies, but I've seen some guys do it too. It's complete bullshit, y'all, and let me tell you why. Now, I'm not superstitious, and I don't believe in the occult. What I do believe in, however, is the power of dreams. I was and am a big dreamer, always imagining alternate scenarios. You can argue at the expense of the here and now, but I digress. And generally just being caught up in my own thoughts, obsessing over things and trying to make them a reality. Isn't that essentially what all this is even about? Now here's the thing here. Life doesn't work that way. You can't obsess over anything and suddenly it becomes yours. Ownership and possession don't work that way. That shit takes time and effort, and even then, it's never a guarantee. If it was guaranteed, all these creepy stalker types out there would all get what they want, wouldn't they? That, in essence, is why manifestation is bullshit. Besides, I've been trying to manifest pussy for a whole year now. Still ain't grown one. So this is the story of how I met the love of my life. Sunday, January 21st, 2018. I'm on my way to go chill at my bro Kevin's place, and at the time, he lived with his parents in a small trailer. I walk inside, and I'm immediately greeted by this tiny little schnauzer that immediately takes a liking to me and jumps up in my lap. And it's actually love at first sight here. Pupper won't leave my side the entire time that I'm there. So, as it turned out, she was rescued from a less than ideal living situation about 24 hours before this happened. And she was scared to death of everything and everyone there. Now, I don't know many other details about her past, like I don't even know her real name, but none of that matters in the end. So in real time, I'm straight up falling in love with this dog, and she's looking up at me as if I'm the first real friend she's ever made. Now, Kevin and his stepdad Scott see this, and they can clearly see where this is headed. After a while, Scott just straight up asks me, "Do you want her?" And I thought about it for a second, and I was like, yeah, I think I do. And that was that. A couple phone calls later, and I was giving this little girl a new home. So later that night, I get home, and I send Kevin a picture of Pupper in my bed, flopped on her back with her belly in the air, and his mom Cindy responds instead, who is pissed at me. Now, she was out of the house when I was there, and she didn't witness any of all this. So when she came home that night, to see her precious little dog gone at my house, yeah, she flipped her lid. And let me tell you, Cindy is not the kind of person you want to piss off because she don't fuck around about this kind of thing. My heart sank because I knew I was probably going to have to give her up. And I didn't want that, and I know little girl didn't want that either. I mean, this dog has snuggled up to me that entire first night. The next day, I reach out to Cindy, and we struck a deal. I was to pay her back for the food and supplies she had already bought for her. And, I mean, the promise that she would be well taken care of was enough to smooth things over at the end of the day. And of course, every time I go and visit them, she tags along with me, so of course Cindy still gets to see her every now and again. And, you know, she and I still laugh about that now. So, when I was growing up, about 7 years old, my parents got me a little Cocker Spaniel that we named Joey. Joey lived for about 13 years before he passed away. After that, I was pretty apprehensive about a new dog. But there was just something about this little girl that just reminded me so much of Joey. Different breed, but similar size and similar personality. So in tribute to my first best friend Joey, I named her Josie. And to this day, we are inseparable. Ain't that right, Pupper? When I have kids, I ain't gonna give them allowances. Fuck that, I'm giving them all Deniances. That'll show them, spoiled little shits. From July of 2005 to March 2010, back when I was a dipshit teenager, I would put on backyard wrestling shows around my hometown with my other dumb buddies. It's safe to admit this now, but it was all a work. Predetermined outcomes, gimmicked weapons, and recurring rivalries and stories, just like on TV. Now, just like with the professionals on TV, I will never use the F word. Thing is, the more we did these shows, the better we got at it. earned a small following, and inevitably started to push the envelope with what we felt we could get away with. Now, there was one particular incident where it all became totally real and left one of the guys with an injury that none of us involved will ever forget. Friday, June 27th, 2008. The main event of this show was the hardcore champion Johnny Ed Jones facing off against his biggest rival, this guy named Pinky, in a non-title match that was intended to set up an even bigger rematch at a future show. Some of our gimmicked weapons involved vanity license plates, tin lids, cookie sheets, and crucially, a wooden baseball bat wrapped with spray-painted shoelaces that were cut and tied to resemble barbed wire from a distance. The live audience couldn't tell the difference. Partway through the match, the fake barbed wire shoelaces came off the bat, and the two guys didn't seem to care and did their best to put on a good match for this crowd of mostly younger teenage kids anyway. However, mistakes were made, and Ed goes and chucks this very real, unprotected, solid wood baseball bat at Pinky. Knocks him right in the face. Mere seconds later, it's an actual bloodbath. Pinky's eyebrow was split all the way open, and he is clearly concussed. He is pouring blood. Needless to say, the match and the show ended right there. We all instantly broke character and sent everyone in the audience home, who were all pissed off and upset and left completely unsatisfied by the non-finish. We didn't care. We all knew we were in deep shit here. It's not like our parents approved of this, and this was just enough ammo for them to be able to say, we can't do this anymore. Now we get Pinky inside and tie a towel around his head. Now, he's knocked loopy, but he's conscious and mostly alert after a few minutes. He had a friend that lived a short walk down the road, and we crafted this tale that he was out skateboarding and slammed into a curb. Freak accident. And that friend took him to the hospital, where he received, I think, 6 stitches above his right eye. About 5 hours later, this is like 11 p.m., Pinky comes back from the ER, and he is so doped up on morphine that he's trying to convince us to restart the match. Clearly, we wouldn't let that happen. I'm still shocked today that he was even well enough to even come back around that night. He was fucked up. Now, in storyline terms, we shot this little thing the next day where Ed gave up his hardcore championship to Pinky, in it like a show of respect for taking that like a man. That was real, by the way. Fast forward a few months to Saturday, February 7th, 2009, and we finally held that long-awaited rematch. Now, this wound up being Pinky's final match. In the weeks leading up to that show, it was agreed upon by everyone involved that Pinky would successfully get his revenge against Ed. But instead of busting him open hard way, Ed would instead slice his own eyebrow with a concealed razor blade after getting hit with the bat. And on the day of the show, everything got uprooted when Pinky's parents caught word of our plans and tried keeping him from doing this shit again after what happened last time. And while he did eventually convince them to let him do this one last match, the one condition was that there could be absolutely no blood at all, even when it was under the agreed upon context of Pinky getting his so-called revenge. Okay. The call was then made on the spot for Ed to beat Pinky to win his title back, and Pinky basically retired. He never got his revenge. Now, as far as I'm aware, there's no heat at all between Pinky and Ed over all that, but that injury was far and away the scariest moment any of us have ever had doing those backyard wrestling gigs. Don't try this at home, kids. When I'm mad at my girl, I'll go out and buy a box of them condiments that are ripped for her pleasure, then I'll go and turn them all inside out. Fuck her, I'll take that extra pleasure. The following is a public service announcement, paid for by the Chucklers. A truly unfortunate fact of this century so far is that pop culture largely doesn't exist anymore. Meme culture has overtaken what was, and must-watch weekly television of yesteryear has been completely replaced by binge-consuming the flavor of the week and doom-scrolling short videos online. It's totally different from when I was a child 20 years ago, which in itself was totally different from when my parents were children back in the 60s and early 70s. I mean, there's much more of a generational divide now than ever before because of it. But there's one thing that I'm pretty sure all living generations here can agree upon. And it's that, historically, the younger generation's slang is completely fucking stupid. Now let's take 6'7", for example, which at the time of this recording is the current dumbass fad the kids today are doing. First off, you're 2 digits off, kids. And second, it makes zero logical sense to any grown adult. Nobody seems to know just what it means or why it's even a thing, yet here we fucking are. I mean, you know it's bad when schools are being disrupted over this shit, and I believe I have the solution to get rid of it. Let's start doing these fads too. Now let's not just mimic these dipshit kids, but openly mock them. We as adults and parents need to step the fuck up here and get these kids the desperate help they need before they go through life unimpeded and won't know any better until their boss man, or boss lady, yells at them and tells them what a fucking loser they are. Now this doesn't come without risks. Just like with all the dumb fads in our own generations, there comes a very real possibility that we will begin to say these things unironically ourselves. And we just cannot have that now, can we? Slang is kind of like a drug in that way. Use it in moderation and you'll be fine. Cool even. Use it in excess, abuse it, and sooner or later you'll be addicted too. And I've been totally guilty of that in the past myself. So parents, all I'm really saying here is be careful for your own sanity and well-being. This could backfire. Once these kids see adults do this shit, they'll realize just how deeply uncool these fads actually are. And 6'7" absolutely isn't the first or worst example, just the most recent. And it'll go away completely, and this period of their childhoods will be looked back upon with complete cringe and regret. And that's exactly what these kids need. We need more and more open kid shaming in the world, and future generations will benefit because of it. That concludes my public service announcement. Thank you. Dudes named Tracy are the toughest people on the entire planet. These men exist on a higher plane of being than anyone else. Their very own tier of manliness. These men piss excellence. If you're a dude named Tracy, I want to personally thank you for your service. So what was I talking about? Oh yeah. Does anyone else believe that the reason the Chinese eat cats is over an unfortunate mistranslation? Someone in the Far East must have heard the term eating pussy and just took that a little too literally. Just me? Okay. You know, them motherfuckers that are like, it ain't about the size of the boat, it's about the motion of the ocean, never had to sail to England on a goddamn raft.
What's up, y'all? Time for a rant. So when I'm not making half-assed music, I work in a restaurant. Now, for obvious reasons, I can't tell you the name of this place, but if you know, you know. A large part of my job is keeping up with the all-you-can-eat salad bar, which is one of the big attractions of this place. So my job's kind of important, right? When I'm not tossing salad, giggity, I'm washing dishes. It's a real humbling kind of a job, like it's nothing to brag about at your high school reunion, but that's not what this rant is about. Oh no. This should function as a warning flare for anyone considering this line of work. This is what you should expect. Most days, it's easy enough. You just keep your shelves stocked, the bar stocked, and the dishes caught up. It's not that bad. But there are some days that just make you want to slap a grandma. I have to divide my time as evenly as possible between all three tasks, because if one thing falls behind, it's hell trying to get that balance back without something else falling behind. And trust me, you don't want to deal with bitchy old customers complaining about the cucumbers being low, or the cooks needing clean plates because the rush wiped everything out and there's a huge stack in the dish pit, or needing to stock shit on the bar on the fly and not having anything prepped beforehand, so you're like building the train tracks while the speeding freight train comes plowing forward. The bad days are like that. For myself, Sunday mornings are my hell day. I will put this on the record. The church crowd are hands down the worst people in the entire world to cater to. I don't know exactly why these people feel the need to all congregate at the same restaurant all at the same time in massive groups of 15, each one getting an all-you-can-eat salad that I'm having to constantly restock every 5 minutes because Aunt Agnes and Uncle Lester decided they were going to splurge on the Lord's Day. I mean, it ain't just Sundays, holidays suck too, but it's every single week this happens. And these people are needlessly rude when you're low or, heaven forbid, out of something. I can't tell you how many crabby old men I've had to outright convince beyond a shadow of a doubt that we were out of something that we never even had available on the bar to begin with. Or if they did, it predated my time there. It's not all bad. I mean, I get along famously with my coworkers and my bosses. I genuinely do have a side of me that enjoys getting in the trenches with them. It's definitely a lot like fighting a never-ending war, you know, them versus us. And that's a great analogy because practically everyone I work with has the toughness of the most hardened soldiers. Like, you kind of have to in order to survive that kind of business. It's fucking brutal, but it's extremely rewarding at the end of the day. Like, the good days can make the bad days worth suffering through. When I started, it was me and 3 other people. 2 on in the morning, 2 at night. Over time, people came and went, and after like 8 months there, I somehow became the guy, just out of seniority. Not necessarily age-wise, although I am older than a lot of my coworkers, but experience-wise. I became the guy that trained all the new people. That's what I had to set the example for everyone else. I mean, I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. Burnout does happen, and has happened, and is happening right now. But I got saddled with a lot of responsibilities that I have to somehow juggle and balance on the daily. It's a lot. But one of my coworkers, who will go unnamed, once coined me king of the salad bar. I stopped him right there with the most serious face and went, no. Call me what I am. The Emperor of the Holy Romaine Empire. They laughed in my face.
In October of 2020, deep in the midst of the pandemic, I was forced to get my first retail job. Mostly stocking shelves at a popular seasonal pop-up store that I can't name, but it's the one from the memes. They took over an abandoned supermarket for a couple of months. Anyways, I was only there for about 6 weeks, and while it wasn't that bad of a job for what it was, I got caught up in some craziness one day. Now, because the location of the store was right on the edge of the hood, shoplifting was notoriously awful. One day, this woman and her small child tried to return a costume that she claimed wouldn't fit and demanded a refund. Now, the costume was not in the original packaging, and there's no receipt, so of course she's denied. What she doesn't know is that we have the original packaging in the office. She's trying to return stolen merchandise and essentially rob us a second time to get some free cash. Manager sees right through it, and the woman says, fuck it, she's going to look around the store some more. Manager flags me down and tells me to keep an eye on her, which I attempt to do, but this woman is intentionally going in erratic zigzag patterns all over the store, while I'm just doing my regular rounds here. Now, she has this shopping bag full of things she keeps taking off the shelves. Now, of course, she's on to me, and we lock eyes as she's in the children's section. And soon as she sees me, she makes a beeline straight to the front register where she chucks that bag full of product at the cashier and demands corporate's number and my name because I'm, in her words, stalking and harassing her. Now, as all this is going on, I make myself scarce, but I can hear every word she's saying. The manager tells her to try her bullshit someplace else and brings out the empty packaging for the item she tried returning and kicks her out of the store. You'd think it'd end there, wouldn't you? Nope. 2 hours pass. It's time for me to clock out and go home. And this bitch is standing by the front doors waiting on me this whole time. She's yelling out, "Hey, white boy, I know you can hear me," and starts following me to my car. Once I realize she's trying to pick a fight here, I quickly get in my car, lock the doors, right as she comes up trying to open the door and starts beating on the glass, trying to get to me. I peel out of the parking lot as fast as I can, hoping that she'd be hanging on the door handle and get pulled to the ground. That part didn't happen. But she's left cussing and carrying on. Once I get a safe distance away, I called the store manager and told her what just happened, and to call the cops. Now, I'm gone at this stage, so everything that happened from here on out was told to me after the fact. This cop shows up and escorts her off the property. As far as I'm aware, she wasn't arrested that day, but she's effectively banned from the store. The next day is my day off, so I'm not there, but she apparently tried coming back to fight me, and since I wasn't there, she tried fighting the manager instead, who is about twice the size of her little rabbit ass. Cops are called again, and this time, she's hauled off. I'll go back to work the day after that, 2 days after the initial incident, and everyone I worked with was buzzing about all this, telling me to watch my ass. But of course, she was never seen or heard from ever again, and hopefully I'll never have to work a retail job ever again. That shit was enough for me. Now, I don't know if anyone here has noticed this or not, but there's an epidemic sweeping the nation. Possibly worldwide, I don't know. It breaks my heart too because I see all these beautiful young ladies who all deserve the world and so much more, who stoop themselves so low as to hook up and try and create a family with the lowest common denominator. We're talking the most lunk-headed, dipshit, dopehead babydaddies here. Are y'all self-esteems really so low that you fall for these fuck-ups just because they're easy to land? Or are you thinking you can somehow, air quotes, fix these assholes? I truly don't get it. Can somebody please help me understand? Now, in my own case, I don't have kids. I may drink and I may toke up on the hippie hay once in a while, but that's pretty much the extent of it. Once upon a time, I was engaged to this beautiful lady. We were together almost 9 years until COVID happened, and it became impossible to plan a wedding under those conditions. Of course, there's a lot of factors involved there that I won't bore you with, but pretty much that's when it all broke down, the cracks started to show, and we eventually drifted apart over the last 6 months or so. Before I knew it, I done went and developed feelings for somebody else. And wouldn't you know it, she has a dopehead baby daddy too. I tried being there for her when I could, supportive when this complete fuck-up put her through hell. I tried being the good guy in this situation, but no, y'all don't like good guys, do you? She stuck by him in the end anyway. Clearly I wasted my time and energy there. At this point, I just worry about the kid. Anyways, it's that much worse when these hopped up hoopleheads are physically abusive and y'all keep running back to him because I loves them. Nah, y'all clearly get off on being treated like dog shit by guys who only pretend to love you when their true love is dope, or pussy, or a punching bag. Them's the facts. Don't like it? Good. Don't like it. Dwell on it. Do better. You owe it to yourself. And I hope to God that reaches somebody that needs to hear it. Of course, in my case, I wound up ending the engagement soon after all that happened, which wound up being possibly the biggest mistake of my life to date. I say this now as I'm still single and struggling with that fact because clearly no one is interested in a goofy-looking fuck like me. It's so disproportionate, too. Ladies, all you have to do is look at a guy from across the room with the goo-goo eyes, and boom, you got a boyfriend. Fellas, hate to tell you this, but it's not that easy. All you have to do is throw your future away, your life savings away, and get hopped up on meth, coke, heroin, whatever the fuck. You'll have bitches on your dick like it's going out of style. Now, I've been on a handful of dates since then, and every single time I let them all down. They'll look at me, see my big nose, beady eyes, and weird hair, and assume I'm Jewish and made of money. Then they get to know me a little bit and realize I'm not Jewish, and I'm broke. Then, the ultimate magic trick happens. The disappearing date just vanishes. Poof, thin air. Besides, I'm not a sociable person anyway. I really don't like talking to people I don't know if I don't have to. I don't do pickup lines. Hell, I think pickup lines are bullshit. The only way I know how to get chicks is to unzip and then I'll point at it and go, well, it ain't gonna suck itself now, is it? 0% success rate. You know, I consider myself a feminist, and I believe, in the name of equality, it is our duty as young adult Americans. And normalize the term fatherfucker. So one time, I almost got for, and I gotta use the loosest of air quotes for this one, child porn. Let's talk about that. It's Tuesday, June 6th, 2006. That's right, 6606. And it's the day before my last day of middle school. The entire 8th grade class spent the entire day outside at the baseball fields behind the school, and it's generally just one big-ass party. All the different cliques had their own little areas, and mine was in the dugout. Now, ahead of time, I asked for and got permission by my teachers to bring my video camera so that I could have some kind of recorded memory of this day. A video yearbook. This would go on to be one of the biggest potential fuck-ups I could have ever made in my life. This could have gone so much worse. Now, I want to make this clear from the get-go. Y'all got clickbaited with the opening line. Clearly, there was no actual CP happening here, but rather, a buddy of mine got his hands on my video camera at one point and was going around to different girls, getting them to lift their shirts up. Now, I had absolutely no knowledge any of this was going on. I got the camera back a little bit later, completely oblivious, and the rest of the day goes on pretty much as normal. Now, the next day is my actual last day of middle school. And literally seconds after I make it to homeroom, the principal and the school resource officer pull me out of class, and I have absolutely no clue what the fuck is going on. They demand to see the video. Now, I don't have my camera with me. My mom is at work, and they call her up, and she has to leave work to come to the school. And this is when I finally find out what is actually going on. They aren't telling me shit. So, as it happened, word spread that this dude was bribing chicks to flash the camera, and one of the parents of these girls caught word and raised all kinds of hell at the school. Now, for the record, I'm with the parents on this. If it were my daughter, I'd pretty much react more or less the same way. Now, the principal is treating me like I'm some kind of sex pest. I'll never forget the look of absolute hatred and disgust this guy would give me every time he'd look at me. Alright, Mom and I dash home to go grab the camera. I desperately maintain my innocence to her during the car ride home, and she promises that she's not going to be mad at me as long as we watch the whole thing together and see for ourselves, because I'm just as curious as everyone else is. Now, the full tape is maybe 30 minutes long, and this happens right around halfway. We finally get to the part where the shirts are lifted, and Mom finally breathes a huge sigh of relief because she now totally understands that I'm not only not lying to her, but there's no actual nudity on this tape. The whole thing's been totally overblown. Now, the school demands that we hand the tape over to them so they can destroy the evidence, and Mom is quick to make a copy of this tape beforehand. Now, they're trying to destroy my only proof of innocence here, and assuming they do that and continue to press the issue, that could turn out very badly for me, and I'd have no way to dig myself out of that hole. We return to the school, and now they've pulled all of my teachers into this room, and we sit through this tape together. One of the teachers is kind enough to point out that I can actually be seen in the background of one shot, proving that I wasn't the one holding the camera during this point. Now, they had my back, so you'd think that would be the end of it, right? Nah, the principal is threatening to hold me back in the 8th grade despite the fact I already passed all my final exams just based on this one single incident. My mom tells him that she's going to lawyer up and drain this school for every fucking penny they got if they even try to hold me back from high school based on something I did not even do. I'm so glad it was her there and not my dad, who very seriously might have assaulted the principal over that. Mr. Fisher got lucky that day, and I got even luckier. I wasn't held back in the end, and the incident was more or less put to rest. From that point on, I don't know what happened there with the girls' parents or anything like that. By the time 9th grade started, everyone pretty much forgot all about it. Hands down the weirdest last day of school in my life. And that's the end of the story.